going on, people? Back with another album review. Meant to do one early this week, but couldn't think of anything that I actually wanted to review. I was going to do Pete Rock and Camp Lo's 80 Blocks and Tiffany Part 2, but for whatever reason I decided not to do it. Today I was going to do the new Rhapsody mixtape, She Got Game, but being that it just dropped and I only listened to it about one time, so I still need to, go back, listen to it a few more times, let it sit in a little bit before I give it a full analysis, so to speak. But I'll jump into this album. Group is called The Black Opera, and the album is entitled Libretto of King Legend. I stumbled on these dudes kind of randomly, just kind of scrolling through hip-hop sites or whatever, and the album art kind of jumped out at me. I thought it was I thought the design was pretty dope, so I clicked on the song. Can't remember what song that I first listened to them by, but the song was dope. I YouTubed them after that, started looking at their videos. They had some pretty creative music videos, so I waited for them to drop an album, and this is what I got, and I was not disappointed at all. I felt like this album was a gem, I would say. But one thing I will say before I go into this review is I don't know the names of anybody in this group, because when you look at their biography or whatever, it doesn't really list their names specifically. And the only thing I can gather from the Bandcamp page, which I'll leave a description to so you can stream the album or whatever, they give production credit to this album to a guy named Astronaut. So props to him. The production actually was one of my favorite things about this album. And they are also signed to Mellow Music Group. If you don't know who Mellow Music Group is, that's home to dudes like Odyssey and the Diamond District. If you don't know who they are, I'll leave a description below to Mellow Music Group's Bandcamp page, so you can go check out a lot of their artists. Definitely go check out Odyssey if you've never listened to him before. He's a dope producer / MC. But yeah, let's get into this album. The first thing, like I mentioned earlier, that I liked about this album was the production. You got a nice variety of sounds from Astronaut. You had some hard-hitting tracks. You had some mellow tracks. You had towards the middle of the album, you got a few dark tracks. So he hit a lot of different ranges in the spectrum. But it wasn't, it wasn't like he went so far off that the album was all over the place. It still flowed really good throughout, even though he gave all these different kind of sounds. And also the lyrical content of this album, these dudes are really dope lyricists. They have a really good way with words. I'd suggest, if you're streaming this on Bandcamp, on certain songs, they have the little lyrics tab to the side. So just, click on the tab while you're reading. It'll give you a better idea also of what they're talking about. But they have a really good way with words. And they also touched on a lot of variety of subjects, which I guess I'll get into when I start getting to some of the standout tracks that I like. I won't spoil the whole album, 17 tracks, but I'll get into a few of them that I liked. Grand Entrance was a dope track. For me, when I listen to an album, it's critical that you started off strong, and the Grand Entrance definitely was a strong start to the album. It was a really short track, but it definitely set the tone, and it gives you a good idea of what these guys are about. Another dope track was The Balcony, which pretty much talks about rappers and I guess people in general who just kind of switch up to be part of the trend. They just want to ride that wave of popularity, but they're not really staying true to themselves or what they do or who they really are. He also takes I say they, since it's a group, but one of them took a shot, kind of a popular culture shot. He had a line that said, "True Bloods used to make a nigga crip walk. Now the vampires looking like Ken dolls." I thought that was pretty dope. Another standout track was Torture Chamber, which is kind of I guess a rebel against the the man track. Pretty much going in on what they perceive as society's ills and just, I guess, kind of taking a stand against it. Also taking a few shots at I guess modern rap. Well, one of the guys had a line that said, "Why we got to choose between a Sambo and a mob soprano," pretty much referencing, I guess, mainstream rappers. I guess that's how he feels about the choices that we pretty much get on the radio and in mainstream in general. And that track also had a crazy beat. Love the beat on that track. King's Ransom was another good standout track. Definitely showed Astro Notes different kind of production he can do. It had kind of almost a tribal feel, like the way the track started off. But I love that track. He definitely did a good job with the production on that one. Queen of Hearts, which was one of the more mellow tracks, actually probably the only mellow track on this album. Guest vocals by Mayor Hawthorne. Pretty much a track dedicated, just about the woman he's pursuing that they're trying to get with. Even though this was one of the few mellow tracks on here, it was a really good track. I believe this is actually one of the singles they dropped when this album was being promoted. It doesn't have the same feel as the rest of the tracks on this album do, but it still works. It's definitely a solid track. Another standout track, which is when the album starts to get a little darker, is this track called Temptation, and it's pretty much a track about, they're talking about a woman that they want, but they know that this chick is bad for them. And one of the dudes even mentions, he says, pretty much saying, I already found my ride or die chick, so to speak, but he's still looking at this other girl, and he knows he wants her. And it's pretty much giving that kind of in-depth description of just the different feelings and how it is to go through something like that. And it's also a really kind of a dark sounding track because there's a guest female on this track. I can't remember her name. I don't have the Bandcamp pulled up in front of my face, but they put this vocal effect on her voice, and it makes her voice sound extra dark and seductive kind of, and it helps add to the mood of the track. Another standout track, which is also another pretty dark one, is a joint called Shadows, which features Boog Brown. And that was another that song I was kind of on the hook. It has this kind of dark, almost, I don't want to say opera hook, but I guess it does work. It definitely, the hook definitely brings in kind of that dark feeling of the track and what they were going for. And I guess the last standout track I'll mention is the Queen of Hearts remix, which was done by Odyssey. And if you're familiar with Odyssey and his music, his remixes, that this man goes in on remixes. He did his thing with this one. He added his own little original flavor, but it definitely worked. But yeah, man, all in all, like I said, I thought this album was a gem for a group that I'd never heard of. Pretty much came from left field. I went in this album not really knowing what to expect, and when I listened to it, I came away with something that I'll definitely have on repeat for a while. I can say these guys have definitely gained a new fan. This isn't the only album they have. I know they have I think it was an EP they dropped called Overture, which is for free on their Bandcamp. This album isn't free, but I'd recommend download that. That one has some dope tracks too. Give that a listen if you enjoy this. And yeah, man, I really don't have much bad to say about this album. 17 tracks. Like I said, I didn't get into every track, but 17 tracks on here, all of which are pretty much dope. Even the ones that I might skip over aren't necessarily bad tracks. They're just other tracks that I like more. But there wasn't really anything that I could say that I disliked about this album. Like, it wasn't perfect. I'm not gonna say it was a classic, but I just enjoyed it that much that there weren't any like immediate flaws when I listened that jumped out at me. So I would definitely recommend giving this a listen. This is a pretty dope, talented group. Shout out to this dude Astronaut on the production tip. And yeah, make sure y'all check out Mellow Music Group's Bandcamp. Aside from Black Opera, they got some other definitely got some other dope people on their label that you should definitely check out. And hopefully by the end of the week I'll have another review up. Hopefully I'll get around to this Rhapsody She Got game. I'll probably listen to that a few more times and see what else I can take from it that I didn't get from the first listen, and get my thoughts on that. But as far as the Black Opera, dope album. Like I said, they gained a new fan. I would definitely recommend, I'll leave the Bandcamp description in the link below. I'll leave the link in the description below. Y'all can go stream the album, listen to the tracks, tell me what you think, if you liked it, didn't like it, or whatever. But I know I liked it. I'll definitely be having some of these tracks on repeat. And yeah, overall, dope album. Looking forward to whatever they put out next. So until next time, I will catch y'all later.